The settlement was barely a settlement at all, just a scattering of half-collapsed domes and metallic husks along the windswept plains of Carathis IV. Once long ago, it had been a trading outpost where multiple alien races exchanged goods across the spiral arm. But that was before the raiders came. Before the skies burned. Before famine. When Elias Cade, a human engineer and ex-soldier, trudged across the rust-colored dirt carrying a crate of protein rations, he didn't expect to find anyone alive. The distress beacon he'd intercepted from his salvager ship was weak, flickering, decades old. He thought maybe he'd just find ruins, ghosts, scraps worth salvaging. Instead, he found them. A thin alien woman stood between him and 3 trembling children, her back arched, her body shaking but unyielding. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dying sunlight, a shade between silver and pale violet. Her eyes, wide, luminous, and desperate, followed his every movement. The children clung to her legs, their faces gaunt with hunger. Elias raised his hands slowly, careful not to startle them. "Easy," he said, though he doubted she understood. "I'm not here to hurt you." She looked at the crate in his hands. He saw her throat move as she swallowed hard. Then, in halting, broken standard, she whispered, "My children haven't eaten in days." Her voice cracked like glass. She hesitated, then stepped forward with trembling resolve. Her hand touched her chest, then his arm. "Feed them," she said, eyes full of tears. "And belong to you. Forever." Elias froze. He knew desperation when he heard it. He'd seen it on war fronts, in refugee camps, in the eyes of people who had nothing left to give but themselves. And it twisted his stomach. "No," he said firmly, shaking his head. "That's not how this works." But the woman misread his tone. Her knees buckled. She sank to the ground, lowering her head in submission. The children wailed softly. Something in Elias snapped. He dropped the crate at her feet and crouched beside her. "Listen to me," he said, his voice softer now. "I don't want you. I don't want ownership. I just want to help." He opened the crate. Nutrient packs, bland military issue but life-saving, gleamed in silver wrappers. He tore one open and handed it to the smallest child. The girl's hands trembled as she took it, and when she tasted the paste inside, her wide eyes lit up with a mix of relief and disbelief. The mother watched, tears streaking her cheeks. You give without taking. That's how humans do it," Elias said. Part 1. The Stranger in the Ruins. Over the next days, Elias repaired what little he could of their shelter. His salvager ship carried spare power cells and emergency generators. He patched leaks in their filtration system, rigged up heat panels, and strung lights along the dome's ceiling. The woman, whose name he learned was Serenia, observed him constantly. At first, suspicion lingered in her eyes, waiting for the cost, the catch, the hidden demand. But as the children grew stronger, laughing again, chasing each other between the ruined walls, Serenia's wariness gave way to confusion. "Why?" she asked one night as they sat near the small generator's hum. "No one helps for free. Not here. Not in this galaxy." Elias took a long breath, staring at the stars beyond the cracked dome. "Because I've been where you are. Hungry. Alone. Waiting for someone to come. And because if we don't help each other, what the hell's the point of surviving?" Serenia tilted her head. Among her people, sacrifice was currency. Bargains were blood-bound. The idea of giving without expectation was alien. "You are strange," she murmured. Elias smirked. "You wouldn't be the first to say that." Part 2. whispers of threats. As the settlement revived, Elias realized the danger wasn't over. Raiders still prowled the system. Broken colonies made easy prey. If they found Serenia and her children, they wouldn't show mercy. He taught the children simple defense tricks. How to hide, how to recognize danger, how to stay quiet when the skies roared. Serenia protested at first, but when she saw how gently Elias explained things, how patient he was, she softened. "You treat them as if they are yours," she said one evening, her voice soft but carrying an undertone of wonder. Elias glanced at her. "They deserve that. Every child does." Her gaze lingered on him, a mixture of gratitude and something she couldn't yet name. But the fragile peace broke 2 weeks later. The raiders came. A thunder of engines split the night. The sky lit with fire as a corvette descended, its cannons sweeping over the ruins. Elias shoved Serenia and the children into the reinforced shelter he'd built from scavenged hull plating. "Stay here," he ordered. But Serenia grabbed his arm. "No, you'll die. They kill all outsiders." Elias smiled grimly. "Not if I kill them first." Part 3: The Stand. He had fought before, on forgotten battlefields, in skirmishes no one remembered. But this time he wasn't fighting for orders or politics. He was fighting for Serenia's children, for their chance to grow up laughing instead of starving. With only his salvager's tools, a jury-rigged plasma rifle, and raw determination, Elias launched his defense. He knew the terrain better than the raiders did. He used the crumbled structures as cover, setting traps with power cells, drawing the attackers into choke points. The battle was brutal. Plasma fire seared the ruins, smoke filled the air, and the ground shook. Elias took a hit to the shoulder but kept moving. One by one the raiders fell, some to his rifle, others to collapsing structures he detonated at the perfect moment. When the last of them fled, leaving their burning corvette behind, Elias stood bloodied and gasping in the ruins. Serenia rushed to him, her children clinging to her legs. Her hands trembled as she pressed them against his wound, desperate to stop the bleeding. "You risked everything," she whispered. "For us." Elias winced but smiled. "Told you. That's what humans do." Part 4: More Than Survival. They buried the bodies far from the settlement. The wrecked corvette provided new resources, weapons, metals, parts Elias could use to strengthen defenses. Slowly life returned again. But something had changed. Serenia no longer looked at Elias with suspicion or even simple gratitude. There was a depth in her gaze now, a quiet awe, a warmth that grew each day. One night, as the children slept, she sat beside him by the generator's glow. Her hand brushed his. "My offer," she said softly. "It was wrong. I thought I had nothing to give but myself. But you've shown me. Can give trust. I can give hope." Elias turned to her, surprised by the emotion in her voice. "You don't owe me anything," he said. Her luminous eyes held his. "Maybe not. But I want to give, not because of debt, but because of choice." Her hand lingered on his. And for the first time in years, Elias felt the weight of his solitude ease. Part 5: The Future. Months passed. The settlement became more than ruins. It became home. With Elias's engineering and Serenia's knowledge of her people's traditions, they built something new. Gardens flourished again. The children learned not only to survive but to thrive. And word spread. Other survivors, scattered, broken, starving, found their way to Carathis IV. They too were welcomed without price. The ruins became a refuge, a spark of hope in a dark galaxy.